The East. Oh, don't laugh, because I allow the air to rise up into your very nose holes. And if I close my eyes, you would all cease to exist. Fortunately, today I have decided not to close my eyes. So a lot of the reasons that I use puppets sort of center around this notion of belief and playing with belief, right? Like now there's just a chunk of wood over there with eyes or lumps on it, if you choose. So when I'm talking about belief, I was raised as a Hindu. And basically Hinduism looks like this. That was like magic. Very ornate, lots of things sort of conglomerated in these structures. And also, as I sort of got into college, I got interested in another ornate religion, Catholicism. And that's another area where I was sort of exploring how, like, a visual density accumulates in places, and somehow that causes belief. So there's this visual connection with these places and belief. And so I noticed that in these two examples of religions. And it also feels that way to me with puppets, too. So after I did that, sort of doing those studies in college, then I started working with a group in San Francisco that uses Balinese shadow puppetry, which is essentially a form of worship. I don't know if you are familiar with that. A lot of times Balinese puppeteers perform exclusively for the gods, like no audience. But this man, Larry Reed, he adapted that form basically for a California audience, which means it was kind of like the movies. It was on a cinema scale and really large done. And I started to feel, once again, you know, this connection between puppetry and belief, that the audience itself invests what's going on with the meaning that they choose to invest with it. And there are all kinds of ways to convince people to believe in puppets. And that guy, he's really good at it. He's the Being Elmo guy. Well, I mean,
great.
Obviously, the Being Elmo guy. And it can also be on a much sort of bigger epic scale as well. So this group is a company called Royal Deluxe, and they're in France, and they travel all over the world. And they make puppets on a fantastically massive scale. Wow. And in a way, I mean, you can certainly argue, as in fact Graham has argued with me, that they rob you of reason. You look at these things and you see that they have wires attached to them and cranes attached to them and people jumping up and down, and you cannot still believe that they're not real living things. Look at her. So I've always been fascinated by these moments, big and small, of us coming together and sharing a sort of understanding or belief. And puppetry is really good at sort of crystallizing that experience. Jack wants to switch already. I'm not done. So then what I also found out is in public space, I spent a lot of time on my breaks as a bike messenger in San Francisco, hanging out in public space. And what I discovered is that when you're working quite hard and you're expending energy and you're sort of creating tension and unwinding, you often find yourselves gathering in public spaces in the interims of those actions and chatting and talking and smoking pot. And I never did that. You know, and just sort of like it creates a sort of community around these spaces very naturally. And then I also further studied physicality and physical movement and tension and relaxation at the Lecoq School in France, which does physical theater. And this is the beginning of the Peloton project. So Forecast funded some research in England at an intentional community where they taught both Graham and I how to work with pedal-powered generation, electrical generation. So that became the nugget of the technology used in the Peloton project. And then we worked, that's the base structure, and worked, those are people painting bikes, and worked, those are people in a cloud of spray paint at night, and worked, and worked, and worked, till everyone was exhausted. So this project sort of puts together these three main subjects that I've sort of been working on for many, many years. And here are a few projects also that explore those prior to the Peloton. This is a big parade elephant. And there's one person. And this was a big egg that was part of a game called Egg and Sperm Hide and Seek. And in fact, it's that egg. Yes! Come on in! Do you want to find it? Okay. So this is the Peloton. I just have to, I'm going to rush through.
Thank you.
It's too bad. And what you can see, the screen that you're watching it on is the screen that was actually the cinema of the Peloton. And these are the bikes. And the little puppets are over in the corner. Over there. So all right, I'm sorry. Okay,
That's all right.
Okay. Well, okay, so
I can walk around the block.
yeah, well, no, they're all here.